Brady, do you know what's going on in the mind of Don Davis and the world of PFL? Francis Ngannou finally came back, had a fight,
Mm-hmm.
right? Captured his throne, if you will.
Well, let's talk about that pay-per-view first, or
Sure.
that event. I don't even like to call it a pay-per-view because if you paid for it, that was unfortunate. Because that whole event was dog shit.
Let me ask you a question about this because leading up to it, Don Davis was talking like, "Oh, the Sphere is nothing. UFC put all this money into a building. We're going to give you a spectacle." You needed spectacles to try to see what the hell you were doing.
Spectacles, testicles, wallet, and watch.
Oh, you
Another
got to check
Bill
them all.
Paxton
You
reference.
got to check them all before you leave the house.
Okay, well, so the lead up to this event,
Yeah.
there was a lot of Francis talk, and there was a Francis talk not only with the media, but even going into pressers for the UFC, people asking Dana what his thoughts were on this fight, what his thoughts were after this fight, etc., etc. And the number one thing that's come out of Dana's mouth in regards to PFL, which is a competitor, so he's not going to be the nicest to them. But he just said these guys don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're overspending, and good luck.
Sure.
Good luck.
And that's exactly what happened, I think.
Yeah.
Because, for all of this stuff that he talked about, how he was going to revolutionize and he was going to give the people something. No, all it was, it looked more like a Bellator show to me. It looked like something that I could have seen on Spike TV for free.
Dude, those old Elite XC pay-per-views were better than that. They weren't even pay-per-views. They were just free TV events. They were better, hands down. Like when you have Nick Diaz on the card and things like that, and just like Hands of Steel Smith, right? Remember Scott Smith or whatever his name was? Like when
Yeah.
you had guys that went out there and fought. What happened on this PFL card until you got to Francis's fight really wasn't anything special. It felt
No.
like the undercard of a UFC on a fight night.
So I mean, the other side of it is you got to kind of give a shout out to Don Davis because he did exactly what a promoter is supposed to do, right? He got everybody interested in coming over to check this thing out. Once they were there, he's like, I already got your money. That
Beacon
is
FC does a better job. Like that was a shit event.
that's a snake oil salesman,
Yeah.
right? Now, it also came out shortly after that Bellator, remember when they bought Bellator, they thought this was going to be a good idea, right? Viacom was like, and then, next thing you know, there's this merger and they've got two companies and they don't know what to do with these fighters. So they start having like the champ of this PFL versus the champ of this Bellator, and let's figure it out. And none of it's working. None of it's working. So why isn't it working, Brady? Because Bellator, it looks like they're saying by the end of 2025 is going to be Bella no more.
That one sucked. But we'll let you pass on that one. Bella no more.
Okay. All right.
Really? Bella no more. You
Bella,
ever see the gay version of Beauty and the Beast? Everything was the same except there was Bella no more. You know what I mean?
so you're just going to make it worse?
Yeah. I figured if
Just
we're
what
gonna
we're
drop
doing?
a fucking carpet bomb, we might as well, you know what I mean? Let them all explode across the nation.
Wow. I can't believe you called
There's
it.
people that are listening to this in other countries right now. They're like, you guys fucking suck. There's people listening into this country, the current country we're in, that are like, you fucking listen, you carpet bombing loving motherfuckers. That's why you're here. So yes,
There's
Bellator,
people listening in these earphones that think this sucks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bellator is definitely going to be a promotion that is lost in transition here.
Okay.
It's gone. It's going to be absorbed. Anybody with a decent contract or a decent fight record will be absorbed by the PFL. I think they got another couple of years here. It may be in an AEW situation where maybe there's somebody funding this from the outside, and it's just going to be an endless money supply to kind of keep guys like Francis and old retired fighters in there, and new prospects that aren't getting picked up by the UFC as quick as maybe they should be. But I don't think that there's a longevity here. I think the UFC is the promotion. This is, I hate to use the example, but this is the WWE. UFC is the WWE, and now it physically is and literally is. But it's it's not going anywhere. The first one to kind of make the national and the world global footprint is the one to usually, if they keep their shit rolling properly and they don't completely Vince McMahon everything, they keep it rolling. And I just don't see anybody competing with the UFC. I think Pride was the only one that could have gave them a chance, and that was dissolved.
Do you think it's just because UFC has just grown into such a monster that for another company to come along, you'd have to put so much like
They're
money
entering
into
the
it,
footprint.
so
It's
much
a,
financial, you know what I mean, effort
it's as
into it?
simple. It's as simple as you're trying to put a Puma shoe in in a Nike outline. It
So
just doesn't
so
fit.
why not go the route of say like the pro wrestling route, like the NWA route? What would happen? Just throwing it out there. What would happen if PFL and one teamed up? What would happen if some of these like mid-sized companies were to make themselves a worldwide company?
They've already done that on the UFC Fight Pass. They've got these independent companies and these little indie promotions, and they put them on and they distribute their stuff, and they find the prospects there. But they're never going to partner up. If they were into partnering up, they would have done it with M1 Global back in the day to do the Fedor fight versus Lesnar.
No, no,
And
no,
they,
no. I'm not saying UFC team up with anybody. I'm
oh, sorry,
saying
I misheard
I'm
you there.
saying
I'm stupid.
PFL team up with one, team up with these other
Oh,
companies to create a monster
yeah,
to
yeah.
take on the UFC.
Karate fighting championships and all that stuff. Yeah, I could see that. I could even see the BKFC partnering up with PFL on an event. Like I could definitely see stuff like that, cross promotion there. But you're never gonna. It doesn't matter who you cross promote with. You could put all the bands of brothers together, and they're not gonna take down the massive juggernaut that is the UFC. And they're going into places like Spain now. They're talking about stadiums. Africa, they're going to go to South Africa next. They're established in China. They're established in Brazil. They're established in Mexico. They're established in Europe. Like until they open up a like Khabib opens up a promotion like on behalf of the UFC and kind of heads that over there, they're pretty much covering the globe right now. I don't think anybody's going to be able to compete.
Well, and then there's the other question for you then, Brady. Do you want to compete?
No,
Because
you're psychotic.
we saw recently the judgment has come down for the settlement, right, of the lawsuit that had happened with the UFC. The two fighters between a certain year are getting paid, right?
Hmm.
So they got to go into stadiums at this point to pay some of these bills, and then going forward, because we're only in a certain set of years. I'm sure because there's going to be another one from a certain set of years. Then going forward after that, you're going to see a whole lot of renegotiations of people's contracts because they're not going to continue to do this.
As crazy as it sounds, Chris, and I know it sounds like big conspiracy world and all this bullshit, but the same people who technically own the UFC at the very top of the list. I'm not talking about like the guys who run the company. I'm talking about the
Right.
ones who profit the most at the very top.
Hmm.
They're friends with the people who print money, who literally print the money.
You're
Like
saying
that's their
BlackRock.
buddies. This is the
You're saying
top 1%.
you're saying BlackRock.
I'm just I
Is this
might
what you're
not
saying?
different show. We'll talk about it over on Tid Talk. Hey guys, you should follow us over on at Tid Talk on YouTube. We've been doing some movie discussions with friends and stuff, and it's been definitely a regret of mine. So check it out now before we delete everything and fall back on it. But we've been telling some stories that very well could get us in trouble.
Well, yeah, that part that the first part is hurtful. The second part is true.
Yeah. Well,
There's
so
no
we'll
doubt.
leave that. We'll leave the BlackRock
Sure.
conversation for that channel. But I just think that they're so dominant. They're in the top 1% of the of the whole like entertainment world, but they are dominant in that 1%. If we can throw all those 1% around, but nobody's going to be able to step up to the WWE. Nobody's going to be able to step up to the UFC. They're just there now. That's the brand until the thing went bankrupt, if it ever did. That's the only way you wouldn't see it.
It's interesting. I wonder. So, I mean, do you think that even PFL is going to exist?
No,
Who's their biggest?
2 years.
Their biggest star is Francis. How often can you have him go out there?
I give
Right?
them 2 years if they don't have a rich oil baron father like Tony Khan's dad. Then it's over in a couple of years because they're gonna blow their load on 2 more of these events like this that just don't draw.
Maybe that's where the big money is. I mean, maybe that's what needs to happen is you see it happening with his Royal Highness, the Turk Al
His
Sheikh,
Excellency,
His
yes.
Excellency Turk Al Sheikh, putting all of this money into boxing.
We still trying to get a job out there?
I'm always trying to get a job or give
Okay,
one.
yo, His Excellency, His Majesty, the best promoter in the history of the planet.
What's up?
So
Hey, got you. So maybe that's the line. Maybe somebody needs to come in with some of that big Saudi money to try to invest into an MMA company.
I
But
think they already have.
I'm telling you, that company is going to be the UFC.
Yeah, no, but they already have. Not only in the UFC, they've invested money in one. So what the fuck does it like? The PFL is just I don't know. Like I feel like this is just the dingleberry on the bottom of your ball sack that you've been like walking around, downtown Toronto all day long with, and you had no idea. Then you get home and you're like, oh,
Okay,
I didn't even know that was there.
how could you not have an idea, dude? First of all, like, I mean, wipe.
Premier Dingleberries. That's the name of the promotion. I think we should just get it. We should just start a whole company where we just like make fun of other people's promotions and then sell them that parody name.
Well, listen, as far as the PFL goes, I think that the name is probably going to end up changing to a past fight league.
There
Because
you
it's not
go.
the
See, we just made
professional
25
fighters.
bucks.
It is the past fight league because, yeah, listen, much like the car that won the Cannonball Run,
I got one.
she gone.
I got one.
You
PFL.
got one?
Previous fighters left.
Right.
Subscribe now for more content and combat sports discussions. This is the law. This is the law.